All right, so press record, which I'm not very good at doing, so it's a big deal when I remember. Right, Jackie? So, yeah, see? Haha, busted. So, you guys, welcome to our team call, and we have a special guest tonight. I'm super excited. Really quickly, I'm going to go over a couple of announcements. If you guys get our team newsletter, awesome. I also posted it on our team page because there's a lot of info there. Redoing Coach Basics, because what I found in talking with a lot of highly efficient, highly motivated people is that they're kind of self-starters and they find answers themselves. They don't wait for people to give them the answers. It was like a post that Summer Tucker did this week, which I loved so much. I was like, how do I feel about that? Yep, totally love it. And it was like, don't wait for someone to show you the light at the end of the tunnel. Go. And hers was like, light that sucker up. And I was like, go flip the light switch on, do something, create the light yourself. Don't wait for someone to show it to you. So anyway, long story short, that is kind of what our Coach Basics is going to be. It's going to be self-paced, available for everybody on our team page, always there. But instead of like an email that makes you feel like a failure if you get behind, which is how I do, then I shut down, or a website that may or may not work, and then you guys are messaging me for the password that may or may not work. It's going to always be available in multiple places. And so I have coffee in my veins, which is rare, and I'm staying up late to do this. So get excited. But I know. LaShawna just like that Lauren has coffee in her veins. Like that was her big thing. That's scary, actually. Let's mix it with some Energize. So Elizabeth is really awesome. I have not been able to work with her as much as I would have liked. I'm kind of like Elizabeth stalker. Like I want to be in her fan club and be her groupie. And I just love everything that she's about. And so when she posted on our Superstar page, hey, does anyone want to switch calls? I was like, I do. So I'm really excited about everything that Elizabeth's going to say, just because I love listening to her and I always learn something new from her. So she is going to talk about, so you want to build a six-figure biz. What does that even look like? So I will be quiet, put myself on mute, and get that out of my sleeve, and let her do all of the talking.
Well, thanks so much for having me on. I've known of Lauren long before she knew of me, and just watching her successes in the business, and someone I admire and respect, and I have no doubt that her team follows suit. So I'm excited to talk to you guys tonight, and I haven't really gotten the chance to get to know most of you guys, so I'll give you a little just brief synopsis of who I am and kind of how I'm at where I'm at in the business and what that means for me and my family. And the topic of this call tonight, you'll see how I'm going to present it to you, because if you know me and you know my team, one thing that is very difficult for me to talk about, and something that I rarely talk about, is income or money, because it's so not what this is about. But there's no question that this business has blessed our family's life in ways that I could have never even imagined. So the reason that I titled this talk to have to do with six figures is because I wanted to get my team's attention, because they're always giving me crap about the fact that I never talk about my numbers. So I titled that call when I gave this talk to my team, and it did catch their attention. And it was something that I wanted to lay out for them, because you guys know, and Lauren's a great example of this, that this isn't about money. But when you do have that income behind your mission and behind your family supporting you, it allows you to serve more people, to do more good in the world, to live your God-given purpose. And to me, that's a blessing. So anyway, I've been a coach now for a little over 5 years, and I used to work in corporate marketing. I went to college for journalism. I always wanted to be a journalist, and I worked the last 2 years of college, paying my way through school. No way, I didn't know that, Lauren. My way through college as a journalist. I worked for a newspaper, and I graduated in 2009. And if you guys recall, in 2009 was when there was all this talk about the fact that newspapers were basically not going to exist the way they used to, and everything was moving online, and they didn't really need journalists the same way they used to. So my childhood dream of working for the Boston Globe was like kind of shot dead right around graduation. So I kind of shifted gears. I worked as a journalist a little bit longer and then realized you make no money in that, and it was kind of, dying out. And I moved into corporate marketing. And it didn't take long to realize that that was sucking my soul dry of all its joy. But I was ready and willing to continue down that path, because that's what you do. You get the degree, you get the job that aligns with the degree, and you work until you're 65, and then hopefully you have enough money to have a modest retirement. And that was my game plan, despite the fact that in my heart and in my soul, I knew I was made for more. I felt pulled and called to be living a different life than I was living, but I had no idea what that looked like. And all I knew was that I wanted to be an entrepreneur, but I didn't know what that meant. My mother, my father, my grandparents, all of my aunts and uncles, all entrepreneurs, all run their own businesses, their own law firms, their own private they're doctors in private practice. My mother's a CPA. My father had his own real estate business. And I knew I wanted something in that realm, but it scared me to death. So I remember sitting in my climate-controlled cubicle, sitting there, scribbling down business plans and different ideas of what I was going to do when I'd break out of this corporate life. But I was totally a dreamer. And maybe some of you can relate to that, but I would dream about all of the things I would do, but I wouldn't change my actions at all. And I kept thinking that time would work in my favor. Oh, someday I'll bring this business plan to life, but I wasn't doing anything in the day-to-day to shift course or change gears or anything. So time just became a thief, and more time would pass and I would get further and further from those daydreams. So I was an athlete that had multiple knee surgeries. I blew up both of my knees. I had 5 major reconstructive surgeries on my knees, and that became my wet blanket. That became this is why I'm packing on the pounds, and this is why I'm out of shape. I can't do a high impact workout anymore. This is just what my body is now. So I gained a considerable amount of weight through college and post-college once I was in like a sedentary job. And then, of course, you're miserable, so I'd go out and party with my friends on the weekends and eat like garbage, and that just kind of spiraled in all the different areas of my life. Everything is intertwined. So you'll hear people all the time, oh, I really want to be successful in this business. One of the first things I'll ask my coaches when their business isn't thriving, but they're telling me they're working the business, is what's going on in your life? Like, how's your faith? How's your marriage? How's motherhood? Like, I dig right in, because everything is interconnected. And for me, it most certainly was interconnected. There was a reason that my physical health, my mental health, and even like my vision for my future were all in the can, because you can't have one for a long period of time without the others being pulled in either a positive or a negative direction. So I thankfully went to a yoga studio one day, and I picked up a brochure. Who does this? Someone left a brochure in a yoga studio for Shakeology. And I'm like, oh, what's this? So I reached out. The name on the back was Keith Callahan. I had no idea who that was. So I connected with him, and I was super skeptical. I brought it to my nutritionist, my chiropractor, and my doctor, and they all gave me the green light. And I knew I needed like a healthy long-term approach to weight loss. So I decided to try it, and it was great. And to kind of fast forward through my story, that's where I was introduced to P90X, and my body started to change. And with that, and you guys all know how this works, my mind started to change. I started to see, okay, I am capable of something here. Like, I'm making a considerable change that I had convinced myself I couldn't make in my life. I'm doing something that I had told myself wasn't really possible for me. Why am I not doing that in the other areas of my life? So it wasn't long before I got myself out of a long-term relationship that was just kind of mediocre. I got myself out of that job that was completely mediocre, and that's where I was introduced to coaching. And again, ever the skeptic, but once I learned what this business could be, it was all those business plans I was writing out without the loans and the risk and having to leave my job to start this. It was all these things that I wanted kind of gift wrapped for me. So I decided I was going to start coaching. And I remember I had just made my first $20 as a coach. And I was working still obviously full-time in corporate because $20 a week isn't going to pay the bills. And I told you guys I had multiple knee surgeries. So I was going to physical therapy twice a week. And that had been for, over 10 years. I'd been going twice a week to the same guy, Bob. So he became like a part of our family, and everyone in my family has like bad knees, bad ankles, whatever. So my mom at the same time was going to PT for her ankle. So we were at PT together one day, and Bob and I have this like funny tongue-in-cheek, sarcastic relationship. And we were always goofing around with each other. And he's like, oh yeah, so I heard you're doing this whole beach body thing. What's that all about? And I'll never forget the words that came out of my mouth. It was kind of like one of those things where like you say it and then you hear it afterward and you're like, what the hell did I just say? And he said, why are you doing that? And I said, oh, I just made my first $20, guys. The words that came out of my mouth were as follows. I just want to make an extra 6 figures for my family. Bob literally busted out laughing, like hysterically laughing right in my face. My mother kind of looked at me like, didn't you just make $20 doing this thing? What is this 6 figures you're talking about? And I even shocked myself like, who said that? Did I say that? Why did I say that? And it was the first time kind of in this whole coaching journey, that first $20, that was enough to show me that something was possible with this. Like I could earn money with this. Yeah, maybe it was $20, but I know that I'm not a mathematician, but it's a numbers game. And if I can earn a lot of $20, that could grow. And if I could teach other people how to earn $20, that could really grow. So I remember feeling like I kind of got kicked in the gut when Bob laughed at me because it was embarrassing. I was like, why did I just say that? But I started to wrap my head around the fact that I was starting to have some kind of vision for Beachbody. And that's what opened the doors for me. So I want to kind of walk you through these like 4, I guess, pillars of building a 6-figure income. And when I say 6-figure income, it can be a 50 grand a year income. It can be a 7-figure income. The point is anything is possible with this, truly. And I want you to open your mind to visualizing what it is you want for your life. And for me, apparently, when I said those words very naturally and without thinking twice, to me at the time, it was a 6-figure income for my family because I knew that would make a huge difference. So the first pillar is having vision. It's having clarity of vision. If you feel unfocused in your business or in your life, it's probably because you lack that clarity and that vision. This piece of the puzzle sounds pie in the sky. It's not. This is serious business. There is science behind this. This is about not just your mindset, but the psychology of who you are. I've become an absolute researching nerd. Like we have one of the closest people in my life has had a very traumatic brain injury. So I've become obsessed with learning and researching the brain. And this is one of the things that I keep coming across is this concept of visualization and the fact that what you focus on expands. So I'll give you a few examples of how this is kind of more science than it is voodoo magic. There's a reason that the top athletes in the world and Olympians who are winning gold medals for our country are taking time, and this piece they claim is just as important as the actual physical preparation for their meet, game, whatever match, is to take time to sit down and actually visualize themselves achieving the goal, to actually take time to nurture and work their mind to believe what's possible for them. And not just picturing themselves crossing the finish line first, but actually allowing their bodies to connect with their mind so that they feel what it would physically feel like in that moment emotionally to achieve that goal or that dream. So this concept of visualization isn't just writing a goal on paper. I'm talking about taking things to a higher level in your life. So what you focus on expands. It's the law of attraction, right? So I'll give you a couple examples, and this can work both for the positive and the negative. What happens when, it's like 5:30 in the morning, your alarm starts beeping, you hit snooze, so you're like already in a bad mood because you don't want to get up, you're exhausted. You roll out of bed, you work your way to the bathroom, and the first thing you do is you catch that poor, helpless, little, useless baby toe right on the corner of your bed, and it hurts. What happens for the rest of your day? Everything goes wrong. You almost expect it to go wrong. And if you've ever had days where you're thinking or saying aloud phrases like, I can't catch a break, or nobody understands how bad my day is or what I'm going through, or are you kidding me? Here we go again, or let's see what's going to happen next, you are actually attracting that negativity in your life. And again, don't mean it in like a magic, voodoo, weird kind of way. I mean in the fact that that's just what you're focusing on. There is good happening to you in that day, but you can't even see it because your eyes are set on the wrong prize. You are focused on the fact that only crap is happening to you in that day. The same thing happens the other way around. Think about someone who's like, I remember when I met my husband, my parents kept calling me Twitter-pated. It was so annoying, but it was so true. And I was like floating around on a cloud for 6 months in that honeymoon stage where you could punch me square in the face and I would smile at you and probably give you a big hug because I was so happy and so elated, and all I could focus on was the good. It didn't mean that my boss was magically a nice person during that time, or that I didn't have debt, or that I didn't have stresses. It was just that I wasn't focusing on them. I was focused on the good. So what you focus on expands in your life. It's not magic. It's just how the brain works. When you go to buy a new car, we went and decided we want to buy a Chevy Tahoe. We started looking at Chevy dealerships. We were test driving cars. I swear, every time I got on the road after that, the car next to me at the stoplight was a Chevy Tahoe. In the parking lot next to me, it was a Chevy Tahoe. Everyone I passed on the highway was Chevy Tahoe. It wasn't like there was this big boom of Chevy Tahoes that people just bought. It was just that all of a sudden my focus was on that, so I noticed what had been there all along. Okay, so this concept of vision and clarity is the most important thing. Without it, these other steps that I'm going to share with you really don't matter much. So my first recommendation is creating a vision board that makes an impact. I remember when my mentor told me to create a vision board, and I literally said to him, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. I already wrote my goals on paper. Why do I have to play arts and crafts? I'm trying to build a business. And I wanted my team to do it. So I'm the type of person that I have to put my money where my mouth is. I can't tell my coaches to do something that I'm not willing to do myself. So I was like, fine, I'll humor you, I'll do it. And he walked me through how I should do it. And he was telling me that I should have it's not about cutting out like motivational quotes from a magazine like you did maybe when you were in the 5th grade. This is about creating an actual vision for your future. There should be things on this vision board that make you have an emotional connection to them. And he taught me to make it as real as I possibly could. So for example, and I'll walk you through kind of how my vision board worked, but one of my goals was to be on the National Wake Up Call. So I remember I Google image Beachbody National Wake Up Call. The first one that popped up was Trina Gray, one of her, the card that they create for you. So I cropped my face and I put it over Trina, and I took my name and I put it ghetto photoshopped it over her name so that it could feel real to me. Because if I just had a picture of Trina Gray on the National Wake Up Call, if I looked at that, I wouldn't make an emotional connection to it. And all the pictures of the fitness level I wanted to be in on my vision board, I only cut out pictures of brunettes, because if I saw a blonde on there, I'm not blonde, so I would look at it and it just wouldn't immediately connect for me. So when you're making your vision board, make it powerful to you. And I'll even share mine with you guys if you'd like. I can do a quick screen share in a second, but I want to tell you what I put on the vision board and where I was at when I put it on there. So my first vision board I ever created was in the new year, per usual, January of 2014. So in January of 2014, I put the following on my vision board, and I'll tell you where I was actually at when I put this on there. I put that I wanted to make $2,500 a week. I wanted to speak on the National Wake Up Call. I wanted to buy a house, be a 10-star diamond, earn the elite title, and my husband and I wanted to get pregnant. So where I was at in January of 2014, and I took my numbers out of the online office so I could be accurate with this. I was earning, I would say on average, this is generous, $500 a week. It's tough to say what I was earning on average because I looked in the weeks before and after, and it was like anywhere from like $100 to like $600. So we'll say 500 for the sake of being generous in January of 2014. And I wanted to make 2,500 by the end of the year. National Wake Up Call. Corporate didn't know who I was in January of 2014. I was a 2-star diamond coach. I was a nobody. They had no clue who I was, yet I wanted to speak on this call that all the best coaches speak on. We wanted to buy a house. We hadn't even started talking about saving for a house, looking for homes, where we wanted to live, none of it. I already said I was a 2-star. I wanted to be a 10-star, wanted to earn elite, and wanted to be pregnant. So where did I end 2014? So I created my vision board. I told you guys it was my first one. I made it as real and as visceral as I could make it, and I had it everywhere. I had it plastered on my bathroom mirror. I had it in my office. I had it on as the desktop on my computer, and I had it folded up in my car, and I would look at it anytime I got in my car. I ended the year, let's see, $2,699.69. I was averaging about $2,500 a week for the last month of the year from that 500. I was asked to speak on my first National Wake Up Call in 2014. We bought our first home in November of 2014. We ended the year a 10-star team, 10-star elite team, and we got pregnant in the fall of 2014. So again, it's not that a vision board is magic, because I'm not trying to claim that you guys, cut out pictures, you put them on a piece of paper, and then I promise they happen. What happens is I put that out there for myself, so my focus was there. So my actions started to align with the things I was seeing on that paper. So I started to do things without even thinking of them that would help me get to the goal. So like we wanted to buy a house. That was really present of mind right on my vision board. So I found myself starting to do things that I wouldn't naturally do if we weren't aiming to buy a house. Like we're talking to the bank, we're working out loans, we're starting to put away money, we're talking to a financial advisor. With the National Wake Up Call, I started like trying to get on corporate's radar, making more connections, offering up suggestions for what I might speak about. That income growth, I started like putting more focus on my weak legs. So you just start to do the things that maybe not so sexy things that you might naturally avoid if you aren't really aiming for them, and you start actually doing them. So the next piece of the puzzle, or the next pillar, is make sure you're taking time to schedule in the changes you know you need to make. So I had these awesome goals. I started to have vision and clarity, but it was going to take a lot of changes in how I was behaving, acting, what I was doing each day in order to make this thing come to life, right? So I couldn't keep living the way I lived in 2013, because 2013, the way I lived didn't get me to those goals. So I obviously have to make changes, but you actually have to take it seriously enough that you schedule in the change. Like you treat this like a business. When you treat this like a business, it rewards you like a business. When you treat this like a hobby, it rewards you like a hobby, which hobbies don't typically reward you very well financially, if at all. So manage and take ownership of your day. I'm going to give you a quick tip right off the bat. If the first thing you do when you wake up, I don't care if you're a stay-at-home mom, if you work full-time, if you do Beachbody full-time, if the first thing you do is pick up your phone and open it and do anything but shut off your alarm, like open Instagram, check your email, scroll through Facebook, you have lost control of your day right off the bat. Because right then and there, some emotion is going to take hold of you when you read an email that upsets you, or you're going to see something on Instagram that makes your mind wander. You take control of your day. You have a routine in the morning that you dictate right from the get-go. Is it making your bed? Is it stretching? Is it meditation? Is it prayer? It doesn't matter what it is, but manage your day right from the minute that you wake up so you control it. Schedule things into your day almost like you have your boss in your corporate job telling you to schedule your workout, schedule your meal prep. Guys, our body is our business. You don't have to have a six-pack, but you have to be taking your program seriously. You've got to be all in on your program, whatever you're doing. Like our team is gung-ho with 80-day obsession right now. And I've told like multiple times, you want to see success in your business, do this program 110%. It will naturally happen for you. So you got to be scheduling those things in. You do have time. You have to make time because it's your job to make time. And business building activities. So I still, to this day, I'm a full-time coach. I have been for almost like over 5 years. And I am still scheduling into my day on my calendar, in my phone. So my husband knows too, we have a shared calendar when I'm doing my power hour or when I'm doing calls like this. Like he knows, so we can be strategic in our family of 2 very little kids, so we can be strategic about how we're working around the things that I'm scheduling because I take it really seriously. This is the hand that feeds my family. So I treat it with the respect it deserves. And I'm talking to you guys, no matter where you're at in your business. You might be brand new and like, oh my God, this is overwhelming. I'm just talking to you like someone who has the vision for building a true business that's going to change your life. So even if you're not there yet, don't let it overwhelm you. These are small steps that you can take to get you to where you want to be. And take an audit of your roles. So I have a lot of coaches on my team who are like, I'm sorry guys, I'm sweating. A lot of coaches on my team who are constantly like, well, I don't have time to do this, or I'm working the business and I'm trying to get it going. And I really I have this vision. I want to be a 6-figure earner. Or I want to be on stage at Summit, or whatever it is. They have their goals or their dreams. And I'm like, all right, walk me through an audit of your roles in life. Like they show me their vision board. I'm like, that's amazing. You want to buy a house. You want to be a stay-at-home mom. You want to leave that job. Like you want to earn 6 figures. That's awesome. So what are you doing to ensure that that's happening? And I call it role creep. They start telling me their commitments and their roles in their life. And I'm like, no wonder you're not achieving those things. They're like, well, this year I was going to the PTA meetings, but they asked me to be the head of the PTA. So now I'm the head of the PTA, but I also am the coach of the soccer team and I run carpool and I work my full-time job and I just got promoted to manager. So that's taking up a lot more of my time. And they start going through all these things. And I'm like, those are amazing things, but are they helping you move the needle this year in 2018 towards your dream? Because if the answer is no, maybe you should rethink some of those things. Not that you'll never be the head of the PTA, or you shouldn't be the soccer mom, or you don't head the carpool. You can be a rock star and do some of those things. But if 2018 you're working to change your family's life through this business opportunity, maybe you take a few of those things off your plate so you can actually take this seriously. Because what happens is, because we don't need Beachbody, because we have other jobs that put food on the table for our family, we don't take it seriously enough, and it always takes the back burner. You have to, my coach told me this from day one, that man on the back of the brochure, Keith Callahan, one of the best things to ever happen in my life, such a good friend and such an incredible mentor. And he told me from day one, you treat this business like you took a $500,000 loan out to start it and that your family's life depends on it. That's how you treat it. And when he said that to me, it totally clicked. Okay, like I've got to make some sacrifices and some changes to prioritize this. So I've been teaching my team this ESF formula that I created. It's a 3-step method. It's so basic, but it helps. And take out a piece of paper, write E stands for eliminate, S stands for streamline, and F stands for focus. What can you eliminate from your life? What roles, what activities, what behaviors that you're doing? Like I just downloaded the Moment app and it's horrifying. It tells me my phone usage, how many times I'm picking up my phone, how long I'm scrolling, how much time I'm dedicating to each app. Absolutely mortifying how many times I pick up my phone in the course of the day just to kill dead space. So what can I eliminate? All right, great. I've eliminated those roles or those things. What can I streamline? Now let's look at the things I am doing that I can't really eliminate. How can I be more efficient? How can I be better at them? What can I outsource? Like I'm not outsourcing motherhood, so that's staying on the list. I'm definitely not outsourcing being a wife, but maybe I could outsource my laundry once a week if that would help me, or my meal prep here and there. Like, you have to decide what works for you. But the point is, what can you streamline? And it's not necessarily something you have to spend money on, but those are just examples. And then, great, now you got that streamlined. Where should your focus be? Because you've got this awesome vision board and these great things that you want. What do you need to focus on in order to actually achieve them? And I tell my coaches all the time, we have a lot of moms on the team, whatever it is you're doing in that moment, be present. Don't fool yourself into the myth that multitasking is a thing. I told you guys I study the brain like nonstop. Multitasking is physically impossible for the human brain. What you're doing is switching really quickly between tasks. And every time your brain has to switch between one thing and another, you don't know what's happening, but it's trying to catch back up. And you're actually losing steam with whatever it is you're doing. So whatever it is you're focusing on, focus on it. Be present. Your family, your children, your husband, whoever it is, would rather 15 minutes of solid presence from you than an hour of you physically being in the room with them, but like also doing 5 other things, scrolling your phone, answering an email, feeding the kids, and whatever else. So pick what you're going to focus on and be present in whatever it is you're doing. The third pillar thing to focus on is strategic planning. I'm a business nerd. I've become one. I didn't have the formal training. I love anything that's helping me learn or grow as a business owner. And, this is relatively new to me. So plan out your growth. Like, even you look at that vision board, you have to remember an important piece. The person you are today is not the person you will be exactly when you achieve those, if your dreams are big, okay? So who do you have to become over this next year to be the person who makes all those dreams come true? So maybe you look at that vision board and it scares you a little bit, so you have to become more confident. Or like, how do you become that person that earns 6 figures? Or how do you become the person who has enough energy and bandwidth to like do all these amazing things you want to do? You have to be ready to have grit and make sacrifices and be fiercely committed. So if you're not there yet, which is fine, I'm not where I need to be to achieve all the things I want to achieve in 2018. What's your plan to get there? On my vision board, I have the seminars and the conferences I'm attending to help me with some of those things that I'm trying to become. I have my spiritual direction that I'm taking this year with my priest. I have my business coach that I've hired to help me grow in levels of my business that I'm working on. It's about always having a growth mindset versus a fixed mindset. I have the books that I plan on reading this year and the podcasts that I'm going to listen to. So make sure you're coming up with your growth strategy as much as you're coming up with your business strategies, and schedule that stuff into your day and into your time, your time frame that you want to achieve these things. And as with anything, set deadlines to stuff. Like, know when you're going to do these things and when you're going to do them by, so you can be confident in the timeline that you have to achieve them. And then you can align your actions with your ambitions. You can start to reverse engineer things, because we all have ambitions. We all have desires, but so many of us don't have the grit or the focus to make sure that our actions align with those ambitions, which really just at the end of the day makes us a dreamer, because we're not going to actually do anything. So action trumps most things. So when you're kind of planning everything out, Plan everything from how you plan to grow into that person to what you want to learn to what you want to accomplish, and then the actual actions that have to take place in order for you to get there. And the final piece is mapping out and prioritizing. So I like to start with quick wins because I think they're important. That first 20 bucks I earned, that first quick win is what gave me the initial vision for wanting to build a 6-figure business, which is now a 7-figure business. So those quick wins are important. So like Success Club, I'm not a numbers person. Let me just preface. I'm not a numbers person. And so things like Success Club and Rank, they don't drive me in my business, but what they do is they represent what I'm working towards. They represent an end goal. So those quick wins, like there will not be a month that I miss Success Club because it's important to my business because it helps me get to the end game. I'm selling challenge packs because I know it's the complete solution and it's helping me with my bottom line. I'm making sure, most importantly now, that my coaches are getting the quick wins, especially my newer coaches, so that they can have that feeling of like, gosh, I just earned $100. I just, paid a bill this week with that. Like the opportunities are endless here. There was a lot of hustle in the beginning. There was a lot of sales in the beginning because your volume and your cycling doesn't really kick in for a while. Sometimes I didn't get where I was placed in Keith's business because I was so adamant about not being a coach. I totally shot myself in the foot and he placed me on a dead leg of his cousin or something. So I never got a single volume point from above me. So it took me longer for that stuff to kick in. So there was some hustle that had to happen in the beginning. But then what's the long game? What are you prioritizing? Are you building? Know why you're building. So like when you build out that vision board, don't put a rank on there because it sounds like the right thing or it's the next thing. Like don't put diamond if your family's goal is income, because maybe diamond isn't going to get you the income you need. You should be focusing on your income. So make sure you know what your long game is and why you're aiming for it. I have so many coaches on my team who are just like strapped for money and it would change their family's life. Forget diamond. I'm not like diamond's great. Push for the rank and all that stuff, but make sure you're doing it in a way that nurtures the income too. Know your volume, understand cycle bonuses, and all of this stuff is available to you in the Coach Online office. I know Lauren's an incredible leader, but even if she fell off the face of the earth tomorrow, you could build this business to wherever you wanted it to go. Don't wait for permission. Don't wait for someone to hand you anything. And don't you ever blame anyone else for where you're at now. This is your business. You're an adult and you have access to everything that we've all had access to. So take advantage of it. It's such a gift. Beachbody hands us so many tools and resources. And you have the luxury of actually having a team that's plugged in too. Do what works for you. Like if you're a great recruiter, keep recruiting. If you rock your challenge groups, keep rocking your challenge groups. And make sure you're doing things to continue to grow your network and your ability to reach more people and connect with more people. And when you're struggling, the cure for struggle is not unplugging. Don't do the stop-start thing. That's like, who here likes starting over? Who here likes putting on those 10 pounds and having to do it all over again? It sucks. The cure for struggle is to dig in and don't unplug from the community. You have a team. You have an upline. You have a network. When it gets tough, plug into them more. Dig deeper into your goals. Push harder for what it is you want to achieve. And that's where you're going to start to see that momentum start to pick up and grow. Building a 6-figure income is a combination of vision, clarity, the strategic planning, making sure you prioritize things, but it's also doing it over and over and over and over and over again because you know why you're doing it and what you're working towards and how incredibly worth it is for you or your family or your goals or whatever it is. And I love sharing this example. I was just telling my team the power of vision and these vision boards. So our family lately, I don't know what it is. So I'm from New Hampshire. My husband's from Wisconsin. We currently live in Boston, right outside the city. We're not city people. We only lived here because my husband worked at Liberty Mutual in corporate for the last handful of years, but almost 2 years ago now, he was able to leave his corporate job because of Beachbody. So we're both home with our kids. And we don't need to be so close to the city. You get nothing for your money out here because you're like, stone's throw away from Boston. So we're not city people, but we're certainly not farm folk. We've never lived on a farm. We've never raised anything besides dogs. But our hearts are being pulled. We feel like God is calling us to buy a farm. I don't know why. He's telling us that we are being called to live a more simple life, that our children would gain so much from this whole farm lifestyle. I don't know if we'd even get a bunch of animals or if I'd just grow a cabbage or two. I've never done anything but kill plants. So this is all new to me, but it's what our hearts are pulling us towards. So on my vision board, I have a picture of this beautiful farm. We've just been kind of looking at properties, and it's this one that I just like totally stretch, beautiful, amazing. And so I have like, I've never done anything but see like a chicken at a, when you go to a festival or something, but I have this whole farm thing on my vision board. So the other day I go to the bookstore, and I usually go to either the business development or personal development section or the cooking, like health kind of section. And I find myself like walking towards a section I never walked to before. It was totally subconscious. I didn't even realize I was doing it. And I find myself in the home and garden section. And in my hands, I have a book called like homesteading, learning how to raise chickens, grow a beautiful garden, and like raise kids on the farm. And I'm like, what the F am I doing? I'm holding this book about raising chickens. I've never like done any of this stuff, but it's exactly what I was telling you guys about. It's because it's on my vision board. It's because I see it every day that my body is actually starting to do the things, the little baby things between now and owning a farm and raising chickens that are required of me to get there, right? Like I can't go from never having had any experience with anything and then just making it happen. It's the same thing in this business. You start to put things on your board, like if Diamond or earning 10 grand a week or whatever it is for you, $50 a week. When you have it on there, it'll just start to get you to do the things that are required of you to eventually get there. You have the year to do it. You know what I'm saying? So I bought that book, and I come home and I'm like, Michael, look what I bought. And he's like, oh dear God, what's happening? I'm like, I don't know. It's on my vision board. So I bought this stupid book, and now every morning before the kids get up, I sit by the fireplace and I read my chicken book. So it's like, you just have to start kind of putting it, it's not about putting it out there to the universe. It's about making it real to you and what you're being called to, so that you can start actually aligning your behaviors. And what happens is the not so sexy, miserable, I hate to do these little tasks that are required of you to achieve big dreams, because no dream was accomplished without a billion horrible, boring, not sexy tasks in between, dreaming of it and accomplishing it. You do them with joy in your heart because you know why you're doing it. Like sometimes you do it without even realizing you're doing it. It's like motherhood. Like you wipe butts and you get spit up on, and you do it with a smile on your face because you know you're doing it for your children. And there's joy in that. If you thought about just the task, you're like, ugh, I don't want to do that. But because there's purpose and there's vision there, you do it, and you do it every day. And you don't think twice about it after you do it a handful of times. And that's what will start to happen when you start to build out these dreams. So I was unsuccessful in looking at the chat feature. Did I miss any questions or anything like that? Just fun comments. I'm happy to answer any questions if you guys have them. Do you want me to share my vision board?
Yeah.
Hold on, let me pull it up. I think I have it. It's my desktop, but my desktop is also covered in folders, so I don't know how well you actually see it if I shared that. Okay. So I just want to give you guys a quick visual. I just made mine in PicMonkey. I'm definitely no artiste here, so you'll get an idea. But you'll see, can you guys see that?
Look at your
Okay, so what?
So look at your farm.
My farm right up here. So everything from like the books I want to read to the amount of people I want in my free groups, to the followers I want on Instagram, to stuff about my marriage, to, you know, my fitness goals, public speaking goals, what academies and things I want to attend this year, you know, savings, books I want to read, how I want to decorate my home. One big goal for me is when we make this move, whenever that will be, hopefully in 2018, is I want to make a transition to having an all natural household, like no more chemicals and the stuff that we use, just things that are starting to speak to me and be on my heart. I put them on here, and there's a lot on here, but every time I look at it, I smile, because I think these are all things that scare me a little bit, but like totally excite me. So make it true to you, you know, make it speak to you. And PicMonkey was such an easy tool. You can use Canva, and you can use, I mean, you could use like something far more superior, or you could be old school and just print pictures and cut them out and put them on a poster board or something. But this is a good starting place, I feel like. And it sounds silly that you build a 6-figure income by having a vision board, but this is just one of the steps that will help you just have your focus. I love the quote that no wind favors the ship that doesn't know its destined port, or something like that. Like, you're not going to just magically blow and end up where you want to be. Like, you got to set your sails. And this is kind of a nice little step in doing that. And if you have people in your life that are important to you and that support you in your journeys, like, make them a part of that, whether it's your team or your spouse or your friends or parents or whatever. But it's important to have people like along for the ride. Just don't be an island in the process.
I love it. Thank you, Elizabeth. Thank you very much for being
My
so
pleasure.
visual. And also for giving us such great notes, because I think we've heard a lot of this stuff, and it's a great reminder to go back to just visualizing things and having them right in our faces all the time.
Mm-hmm.
I have quotes around the house, and I start to believe those things. You know, if you put things for our leadership retreat, we put verses and reminded everybody how priceless they are. And I thought that was really good. I thought it was a really good thing to do, because I wanted everywhere these ladies look to be reminded of that thing. But I have something in my bathroom that my daughter wrote, and it just says, "I love you, mommy. Love, Taylor." You know, and it's something that has like gold tape around it, and it was ripped off of something, but it's always there, and it always makes me smile. And even when I'm rushed, even when, you know, having a crappy day, those are the things that make you happy. And so having those constant reminders, you're right, those vision boards make you start to act the way that you need to act, and start to own the behaviors you need to own in order to grow into that person who is ready to achieve that goal.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's totally subconscious, like buying a book, because a farm is on your brain. And sometimes it's reaching out to someone you need to reach out to because you're researching something, and you know that like the public speaker thing is something that's on my goal and my vision board as well. And it's like, what do you have to do in order to be that? And I'm not talking about Beachbody, you know, I'm talking about outside of Beachbody. And it's like, wow, that seems huge, but who do I need to talk to? What do I need to start doing? What courses do I need to take? Do I need to get up on stage more? Do I need to know what my purpose is? Do I need to know what the things I'm good at speaking about are? Those kind of things you need to, yeah, sorry, I'm blabbering, but I agree with everything you said. So it's really, really, really good to have those pillars, and to be reminded of one of the first things that you said, and I won't be able to quote you directly, but basically this opportunity this business creates allows us to build income and use and live our God-given purpose. I say that all the time. And it's funny because something in us was drawn to this. And we don't know exactly what it is, perhaps, until we go fully all in. And then God turns on the light bulb and shows us what we're truly passionate about, and the gifts that we have that we haven't been using. that we're able to just go full in with this and impact people. And so it's just really, really cool. There is a question from Elizabeth Lawrence. Did you see that?
Oh, yes. So there are different ways you can help your new coaches create vision and clarity. I think it's so different for each person. I know that I just shared my vision board with my team, and I had some new coaches in there, and I think it really like opened their eyes to what's possible. And so maybe sharing yours with them and teaching them how to make one of their own. But also sometimes you have to just like ask, like pull it out of them. Like I ask them a lot of questions. Like, what does your ideal day look like? What are your days like now? You know, what's the dream? Like, who do you want to be? What do you want to become? Because I tell them all the time, this is just the vehicle to get you there and to help you live out this purpose. That's why you look at the top 10 or the top 100 coaches, and they're all so different and their platforms are so different. But they just figured out how to use this vehicle to share their message or whatever it might be. So I asked them what that is, and then I asked them a really important question, and I would ask you should ask yourself this, and I ask myself this regularly, is what's the cost if I don't bring that to life? Like, if I'm at the end of my life looking back, like, what is the cost if I don't make that dream a reality? Because usually that makes it click for them, because it's very easy to keep doing what's easy and think like, oh, it's okay. And you just kind of like poo-poo it and ignore it. But if you make them face those fears and those doubts and those things that they want and the reality that they're not actually doing anything to make sure that happens, make them face that head on and say, listen, like the way things are going right now, that's just a pipe dream. Like, how can we make that a reality and help them have that connection to it and start dreaming bigger? That's just powerful. I just think the more you plug into your people and the more you connect on a one-on-one basis, the more you'll know in your heart, like how you should be guiding them. Something that has been speaking to me a lot lately is, we all know Chip and Joanna Gaines, of course.
I was about to say, you need to call up JoJo to help you do your farm.
Totally. I don't know how she'd feel about that, but that would be great. If you guys YouTube Joanna Gaines' testimony, maybe you guys have seen it. It's only about 5 minutes long, but it literally just like, I've watched it like 5 or 6 times just in the last week. I mean, I'd already seen it, but ugly cry every time, me too. And there's something about it that's just like, oh my gosh, this is so much bigger than just me. And what is your testimony going to be through this platform? Like, how are you going to hear his call for you and your purpose and use this platform to live it? And we know that there's more to living that purpose than just screaming his name from the rooftops. Sometimes it's connecting with people and serving people in other ways, like their health, or like giving them a financial opportunity, or getting them out of a crappy situation, or whatever it is. So think outside the box and be creative. But I loved her testimony, and I told you I've watched it a handful of times at least this week, and it's really like reinvigorating me with Beachbody specifically. So, you know, what's your testimony going to be? Like, how are you using this to live it?
I love that. I love it. It is so much bigger than just a health and fitness box.
Totally.
If you don't see that, you're missing the point.
Yeah. Agree.
Yeah, it's so much bigger. Something that, you know, you were asking how you connect with your coaches and how you become, and really quickly, because, you know, it's almost been an hour, but something that our family is realizing is that we can do so much more with less. And we're downsizing dramatically because we have goals for our family, for our future. And that requires some sacrifices, that requires some change. And to the outsider, they might see us maybe failure, No, it's not failure. Just because we've sold our house and we're going to move into a smaller house. And some people go, whoa, 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 what's going on? No, it's because we have big goals. And so we have to do what's necessary to make those goals realities. And if you can translate that into, goals you have for your family, what does that look like for you? What kind of, like Elizabeth said, what kind of speakers, what kind of seminars, what kind of personal development, what kind of things do you need to learn? What kind of actions do you need to take? What kind of courses? All of those things you have to learn in order to check those things off. You've got to know how to progress. You've got to know how to lead. You've got to know how to do so many things. My daughter is FaceTiming me from the Atlanta airport, flying home from California right now. Okay, she hung up. She's good. um, and it just was very eye-opening that in order to get to that next step, something had to change in me. And I had to put, my personal feelings aside. I had to get rid of all what's the word I'm looking for? Stigma, all of those stereotypes, all of those, well, what if, what if, what if, what if? No, this is what my goal is. And if I'm going to achieve it, I'm going to have to do this, this, this. So I'm excited. When you get really excited about a goal and you can see it coming into focus, that's because we're doing the things necessary to make this goal happen. And so yeah, all that stuff changes and you get really excited. So anyway, just sharing that because that's personal and that's not something I've shared with very many people. But yes, thank you, Elizabeth. I am so thankful that you were on our call tonight and can't wait to share this with our team. What an awesome training, and just really thankful that you took the time to do this.
Thanks for having me on. Thank you all for being here too. It's always grateful to get to be a part of other people's teams for a night. So this was awesome. Thank you again.
You're always welcome.
Thanks.
Good night, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.